everyone, it's Hailey, and today I'm going to be doing one of my favorite videos to do, and that is if you liked this book, then you might like this book. Really, I feel like a better title for this is What the Hell Should I Read Next? So maybe I'll title it that. I don't know. So I've done quite a few of these videos in the past. I don't remember exactly how many, but I know it's a fair number. And basically the concept for this is that I will talk about one book and then suggest something that you might like as well, because there are certain similarities. Maybe it's the feel, maybe it's certain aspects for it, whatever. Obviously, this could also work conversely, where if you hated this book, you might also hate this book, or you might love the one book and hate the other, but I feel like the chances are you're probably going to like one if you did like the other. So hopefully you get some good recommendations from this video, but without further ado, let's dive in. So to start it off, if you liked Heartless by Marissa Meyer, then you would probably like Forest of a Thousand Lanterns by Julie C. Dow. So both of these books are retellings, though they're not retellings of the same story. Heartless deals with Alice in Wonderland, and The Forest of a Thousand Lanterns deals with the evil queen myth. Speaking of evil queens, I think that you would like both of these books because they both deal with backstories for the villainous characters that you're pretty familiar with. In Heartless, you get an inside scoop on how the Queen of Hearts became the villain that she is, how she was all like off with their head to everyone. You get why and the journey of her getting to that point. In Forest of a Thousand Lanterns, you get the same thing, but the evil queen myth. So you get how she became the evil queen, and they're both giving you that backstory, but they also give you an examination further into that character. So it's not just this character is evil and that's why, it's here's how they got there and here's how they could have steered away from that. So you see how the course of decisions made over both of these books leads them to that point of villainy, and I love it because both of them blur that line in between good and evil and show how easy it is to cross over that line. You also get a very rich and vibrant world in both of these stories. Obviously, this is a Wonderland-esque world. It has a lot of Carolisms, which is amazing. And then you get a new world in this story that's unlike anything I've ever read before. It's not even based in Western culture, which is amazing. I love that so much. So these books are very similar, but they're also giving you something very different, and I think you should read both of them. But in these worlds, you have these characters, particularly the protagonist, that you know you should hate. You know that everything in you is telling you that you should hate them, that they are going to turn out to be someone that you're going to hate. So you have that anti-hero there, but you also can't help but root for them and want the best for them because you've seen how they came to be who they are. So if you like retellings, evil queens, fantasy worlds, morally ambiguous characters, these are definitely books for you. Turning away from fantasy for a second, next, if you enjoyed The Astonishing Color of After by Emily X.R. Pan, which if you haven't read this, you definitely should. If you have and you liked it, then you might enjoy The Last Time We Say Goodbye by Cynthia Hand. Now, both of these stories deal with very intense and serious subject matter. They are both centrally dealing with suicide as the main topic, so definitely be aware of that trigger, but that is what connects the stories. It is dealing with the loss of a family member via suicide, which I think is something that is so important. So many people are affected by suicide, and losing someone in that way, and particularly a family member, that can be extremely difficult to cope with. So I think both of these books do a fabulous job of dealing with it. This one is dealing with the main character and her brother has committed suicide, and this one is dealing with her mother has committed suicide. So they're both about learning to move on, learning to cope and accept what has happened, and really accept the idea that there might not be a central reason. There was nothing that you could have done. It's a terrible thing that has happened, but you are not guilty in any possible way. I did enjoy The Astonishing Color of After a bit more than this one, but I still think that they are both really important reads, and if you're looking for a contemporary that's pretty emotional and hard-hitting but has a really good message to it, then these are great ones to go with. Next, if you enjoyed Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo, you might like Circle of Shadows by Evelyn Skye. I love Six of Crows, and I did really enjoy this book. This is kind of inspired-ish, very-ish, by feudal Japan. This story is inspired by Russia, but there are kind of hints of German culture in there as well, so they both have bases that aren't in, like, I know Russia's kind of Western culture, but like, you know what I mean? They're very culturally rich stories. stories, and they both have fascinating magic systems that you're just like, what is happening? This is kind of like a ninja story, and animals are key in the magic, and this just has so much going on with the magic, to be honest, but it's like a hierarchical structure to it. They're also both stories that deal with very high stakes situations, but what I think brings them together the most is the group of characters. The cast of characters coming together, kind of this ragtag group, and they're all characters that you love separately, but also as they come together in this group and you see them fighting against all the things that they are struggling with, and they have very varied but tragic pasts. Particularly that's like Six of Crows, but there's definitely a lot of characters like that in Circle of Shadows as well, and I love me a good damaged character. I don't know, relatable. But these are both friendship-driven stories, and the characters are what really set them apart from other fantasies that I've read. So if you like friend groups and you like really vibrant characters, then you will like both of these. Next up, if you enjoyed Eliza and Her Monsters by Francesca Zappia, I think you would really love Radio Silence by Alice Oseman. So once again, mental illness is a key topic for both of these books, so be aware of that before going into it. But these stories both deal with the fan and creator dynamic. So in Eliza and Her Monsters, Eliza is the author of this big comic online and people love it, so she ends up meeting one of her biggest fanfic writers and they end up striking up a relationship, but Eliza writes anonymously, so they aren't aware that it is her that they are talking to, which is pretty wild. Radio Silence has a similar situation. So University is this podcast sort of radio show that the main character Frances is obsessed with, and then she finds out that someone that she actually knows is the creator of it. So there's that kind of odd balance that exists in both of these books, but they also deal with very common and real teenager issues, and I think that both of these books do a fantastic job of it as well. Isolation is definitely a big thing in both of these books. We have characters that feel like they're alone, which once again is a pretty common issue for teenagers and adults alike. And like I said, mental illness is also something that is discussed a lot. One of the things that I really like that Radio Silence does that I don't think Eliza and Her Monsters does, and it doesn't do that because I've never really read any other books that deal with this, but it deals with the education system in particular, in the fact that the path to success for everyone is a little bit different, but there is kind of this path that you're expected to follow. So both of these books deal with veering from the norm and finding who you are and existing as a teenager and really how to cope with that. Once again, if you like hard-hitting stories that will hit you right in the emotions and you like characters that you think are relatable and kind of stories that deal with the online sphere and fame a little bit, I guess, then I think you would like both of these. And my final recommendation is if you liked Skyward by Brandon Sanderson, then you might like Honor Among Thieves by Rachel Caine and Anne Aguirre. I also feel like if you liked Illuminae by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff, then you might like Skyward, but I wanted to go with this comparison because both of these stories are obviously sci-fi, set in space, but this one is set in Earth as well, but like a dystopian version of Earth. It's set partially in New Detroit, but they deal with spaceships and technology as being a central topic, and both of them have, like, I don't want to say because I feel like it's kind of a spoiler for Skyward, so I'm not going to say, but if you read both of them, you'll see what I'm saying and understand why I think that if you liked one, you would like the other. They also deal with characters that have a painful past that they're trying to run away from. We have a petty thief in this book though, and not quite a petty thief in this book, but definitely a character who's struggling with the past always haunting them. So if you like space and technology and spaceships and just fun space-based stories, then you will like both of these. So those are all my recommendations for today. I hope you guys like these videos because I do really enjoy doing them, but let me know if you want me to do another one soon because I feel like it's always been like so long since I've done them and I want to do them more often because I think they're very helpful. But if you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to click that subscribe button and then click that bell icon so you'll be notified whenever I post. I post new videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So thank you so much for watching and I will see you in my next video. Bye!